Hello, hello, dear viewers, friends, and all of that. Welcome to another Idiot's Guide. This one is going to be about taming in ARK Survival Evolved. What can we say about it that really hasn't already been said? I don't know, so I'm just going to say what I know. And it's something most of you probably know already how to do, but it's like a good night's sleep. You can never have too many of them, as far as taming guides go. So, yeah, we're just gonna dive right into it. If you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. In addition to these guides, I also do Let's Plays, specifically at the moment involving ARK with a Primal Fear mod and a Elden Ring Let's Play. But, yeah, this right here is a guide, and without further ado, let's get into it. By the way, if you're new to these, I need to explain one quick thing. Every now and again, there will be a couple of, cards that will pop up on screen, and that just basically explain everything that I just covered, which is gonna save you having to re-watch that exact clip all the way through, and maybe give you enough time to take down some notes, so just bear that in mind. Also, with this one in particular, I'm trying something new, incorporating some old footage for more emphasis, rather than just a video of me, kind of flying around the exact same thing. Yeah. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get into it. Okay, taming. What is it and why does it matter? Again, you probably already know the answers to these, but let's go into it. And if you don't know what it is and you're playing ARK, well, I forgive you, because honestly, this game didn't know what it was either when it first came out. Back in the day, taming in ARK involved drugging creatures with poison darts, arrows, or harpoons in some cases, Jesus, and then feeding them and feeding them some type of whatever food they want until they liked you. That doesn't seem much like actually taming the creature, and it seems more like some kind of Stockholm Syndrome-induced love. No disrespect intended, by the way. That was just intended to get the point across about that's how taming works in this game. Nowadays, there are more creative taming methods that tend to be less generic and creepy. But even for passive tames, there's still some general rules that can be applied all across the board, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. These are general tips and hints that you can use to help you tame the lowliest compy or the mightiest Rex. However, I will be doing more guides for specific tames, like the giant bug thing that I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce its name. Good lord, that's like ordering Starbucks. That is a real animal, by the way, but no, it didn't get that big, and that's not important. This is a general guide that you can use for those creatures or any others without diving too much into any specific method. Besides the general basics for the two types. Which brings me to part 2. Knockout and passive tames. Without beating a dead horse too much, these are the two categories, knockout and passive. And pretty much every tame, old and new, can be placed into one of these two. And yeah, no, even the game and the wiki both say that, so that's what we're going with. It's like, the names are self-explanatory. You either knock it out, or you actually get the animal to like you by feeding it. Because, food solves every problem in the universe. Boy, I wish that were true. But it does solve most problems. Knowing which creatures are which is very important, so that you know what tools and items that you're going to need to bring with you when you're looking for them. Part 3. Know your target. I'm all, if you've seen my videos, I'm all for the ancient art of fucking around and finding out. But after you do that once or twice, I think it's best to understand the creature you're trying to tame, since some of these have, really weird esoteric things to them. Thankfully, most of them in this game are pretty simple in their most creatures, in terms of attitude, they're pretty simple. They either want you dead, want you to feed them, or don't know you exist and will repeatedly run into you while they slowly walk in circles. Still, knowing the abilities your tame has while it's wild is key for the inevitable ARK moment when said creature can and will try to sell you tickets to the pain train. Okay. Oh boy.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh. God damn it. Oh god. No, 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 no. And I'm dead. I'm so dead. Ow! Oh, just... Thank you. And by try to, I mean you don't have a choice, you're buying them. For example, the Dodicarus reduces all incoming damage by a very large amount, including torpor damage when it rolls into a ball. This is important because knowing that tells me that I need to either bring a lot of trank arrows or use a long neck rifle with darts and to KO it efficiently, as the odds are with a crossbow, unless it's got a very high health stat, that I will get it low enough that to want to roll up, or worse, I'll also drop its HP enough to eventually kill it. Not knowing that or forgetting about it can make the difference between success and looking like an idiot, which is what happened to me right here. By the way, that clip is from my Fjordur Let's Play, and you should totally go check that out if you haven't already done so after this video. Knowing your target means doing a bit of research. Even if you hate that for games, some of these taming methods, especially nowadays, are so esoteric that a Jedi couldn't meditate on them using the Force and get anything other than a Windows error sign. Save yourself the grief and look up how to do it. After all, knowing the method and applying it in this game are two very different things. I'm looking at you, Shadowmanes. Taking way too long for that absolute... I could go on into a rant, but I won't. But I could. Knowing your target is probably the first or second important thing you need to do in order to be successful. I mean, and again, I will stress that it's, sometimes you don't want to know what it is, or how to tame it. Sometimes you want to go in. But after the third or fourth time of not getting anywhere, especially in ARK, for me at least, it gets really frustrating. So do yourself a favor, consult Lord Google, depending on how much patience and time you have. Location, location, location. It matters quite a lot for a lot of reasons. Generally, you want to tame a creature in a place where you have the advantage, especially for the more dangerous ones like Reapers, Gigas, and Karks. But TBT, isn't that what traps are for? Well, yeah, sure, but sometimes in ARK you have to deal with the abysmal physics of hills and valleys, not to mention every other creature besides your target trying to kill you. Sometimes picking a good location is so you have a good spot to set your trap, so it'll actually work the way it's supposed to. Which means that after the 5th or so time, it will actually do that. You're just saving yourself a few extra tries. Sometimes, especially for things like the Karkinos and the Rock Golem traps, one little incline in the ground is enough to completely throw off what should be a very straightforward process, as I will demonstrate here. Yeah, as you can see, I had that exact issue in my Fjordur and Aberration Let's Plays. It was like, one little thing was wrong about the terrain and the trap in the case of the Karkinos, so it wouldn't work properly. Usually you can lead or try to chase, depending on what type of creature it is, or what it likes to do, whether it likes to fight or run. Choose a creature or what am I talking about? Hold on. Usually you can either lead or try to chase that creature to an area that suits you better if you need to. This might be where your trap is if you have one, or it might be an area on the map that can naturally trap that creature. I've done this quite a few times, and it saved me a lot of structures because I was able to just lock the creature into a small location where I could pelt it with tranks, or in this case, ice globs, from a safe distance. And my best example of that is me taming the Giga in the Fjordur Let's Play, which I will post right here. Yeah, this is right after it killed me earlier on. Don't worry about that. That's not... Well, you already saw it, so enjoy your laugh. Damn it. Location is not just about finding the perfect spot to build your trap. Sometimes it's just the terrain itself works out for you. Depending on what you're taming, though, you can also just grab the RG or Quetzal, pick it up, and carry it to wherever you need. Or Tuso, actually, if you're in the water, and carry it to wherever you need it. Sometimes to a ready-made trap back at your base. That works just fine. I've done that quite a few times. Not on camera, unfortunately. I did end up doing it in my Fjordur Let's Play with the Dodicarus. I don't think I have that footage, and if I do, future me can slap present me, and we'll go from there. But, yeah. Moving right along. Traps. To follow up from locations, we need to talk about taming traps. These work for both knockout and passive tames, depending on what you're taming. The main purpose of a trap is to keep the creature contained so you can safely tame it throughout whatever method you're using. It sounds simple enough, and it is, but there are many traps that work for a variety of different creatures, but often the type of trap you'll need is based on that creature and the area it's in. Sometimes you won't need one at all. Other times it'll make life, oh, so much easier. Have you ever tried taming a griffin without one? I have. Sometimes it works beautifully. Sometimes you'll want to rip your hair out. Generally, you'll want to make your trap out of stone or metal structures since many creatures can't break through those easily. We'll go into more detail about specific creature traps when I do guides for specific creatures, assuming ARK Ascendant doesn't come out first, in which case it'll be on that game. However, it's worth noting that the trap doesn't just protect you, in some cases it protects the creature you're taming as well. Nothing feels worse than finally knocking out that Rex, only to have a damn raptor come up or something come up to attack you, then clip the Rex in the process and drop that effectiveness. Oh boy, does that not feel good. But yeah, as far as traps are concerned, it's just, you're gonna save yourself a whole lot of grief to just, again, know your enemy, plan accordingly. Feel free to consult YouTube, as I have done in the past, or whatever. Or hell, if you are a good builder and you can kind of figure out all of the ranges, make your own. See what creative stuff you can come up with, and then feel free to share it with me, because I wish I was that creative. But, yeah. Oh, also, I need to apologize about something here in advance. I may or may not have a light cold, so if my voice sounds a little funky, that would be why. Not much I can really do about it, except, you know, keep on keeping on, right? But yes, I think that about covers traps. So again, each time we do this, card will come up at the end. Tools. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about here. Actually, the next few segments we're gonna have a lot to talk about. There are many tools that help with taming, and especially now that we have the almighty net gun! These tools do many things, duh. And what you'll need depends on what you're going after. This, again, all kind of ties back into itself if you haven't picked it up on it. What do you need? You gotta know what creature you're taming. You know, what to bring. All of it, very important. I'm gonna include taming food in tools as well, even though it's really not. But I'm doing it just to save myself a little bit of headache. I don't think it really deserves its own topic, because, I mean, kibble itself does, but I think when we're talking about taming food, you know, if you just went and killed a stego, and you knocked out a raptor, and you have some prime meat, boom, there you go. What else is there to say about it, right? So that's what I mean when we're talking about taming food and kibble, and we're labeling that all under tools. Okay. The thing about kibble, and I'm going to stress this right now, once you can make it, like, readily, like, quickly, and it's just you don't worry about the resource expenditure, use it over anything else. It might seem more expensive, but once you're at the point where you can mass produce it, you know, just as much as you need for whatever you're doing, you're going to save yourself so much grief and effectiveness in the long run. That is, of course, if the creature takes kibble. Not all of them do. Most of them do. And for that reason, we'll do a kibble guide. If this was the old kibble system still, I most likely couldn't be bothered to make a kibble guide on it, but yeah. In addition to that, to those that don't really count as tools, we're going to talk about, you know, your taming implements, such as your crossbow with its trank darts, your chain bolas, regular bolas, bear traps, large bear traps. All of that can factor in, and that's all about, again, you know your creature, you know what you're going for, and all that juicy goodness. It's, when it comes to taming, just to save yourself some grief, over prepare. Bring more than you need, just in case something goes wrong. Maybe your aim's off that day. Maybe you're just, you know... I have a sip of my drink. How to keep my my throat wet. It's like, nothing feels worse than going to tame that Giga and realizing a little too late that you do not have enough arrows and darts for the job, even with that really nice ascended long neck and ascended crossbow. That's not ideal. Or worse, you didn't bring enough narcotics so the damn thing wakes up. I normally don't have that problem in my Let's Plays, because I set the taming setting to be such that you really aren't gonna... It's like, it'll tame up with whatever you give it before it would run out of taming, before it runs out of torpor 9 times out of 10. But it can happen, and if I'm just playing for myself, that's exactly what will happen, because I turn the setting down. Just remember, be over-prepared when it comes to tools. Bring more nets. Bring more, more nets, more darts, more arrows, more food, and more narcotic than you think you need. Always bring more. Remember, this is ARK, which is the same way as saying Murphy's Law, the game, but with dinosaurs and eldritch horrors in it. You know, that kind of stuff. The usual. Alrighty, torpor, levels, and wild stats. Okay, this is all like an umbrella, and it again is very self-explanatory. Torpor is a stat that exists on every creature, and it reflects how much torpor damage you need to inflict to knock them unconscious. Almost all creatures can be KO'd, whether they are KO tame or not. Usually you can knock them out. Sometimes you can't knock them out with traditional trank, darts and arrows, but that's neither here nor there. Again, depends on what you're taming. You only need to worry about the torpor stat if it's a knockout tame. If it's passive, fine. If you want to knock it out for some reason, okay, then I guess it matters, but obviously, the higher level the creature, as a general rule, the more arrows, darts, harpoons, or in some cases, rocket launchers, catapults, or cannonballs you're going to need to, and I quote, the great King Theoden, bring it down! Once tamed, the torpor stat doesn't matter. Unless you wander into a den of scorpions and go AFK, then it might. Yikes. If you didn't bring enough... We covered this earlier. If you didn't bring enough narcotics to keep an unconscious creature's torpor meter from running out, it will wake up and you will have to start all over again. Maybe after it has had you for lunch. Yeah, also, if it did start to tame up, all that, yeah, oof. And it's like, levels for wild creatures indicate how strong they are. Durr. Not really much to talk about this one, just that, level matters much more for creatures that you'll use for breeding purposes. Like, when you're taming Rexes or something, or Raptors. I don't know why you'd breed Raptors other than for kicks, but... For a pure utility or early game creature, it's not that big of a deal, so don't stress if you can't find that max level Anki. The level 91 will do just fine. I've done it before, it works. It's like, yeah, it's not the max level, but it gets the job done, and in that moment, that's what you want. And if you need to, you can always go tame a better one later. For creatures you want to breed, always get as high a level as possible. It doesn't have to be max, but it should... max would be the ideal goal, right? Tying into high levels are the stats that go with them. People have talked about this, including me, especially in my mutations guide already, so I won't go too much into it, but if you're using mods or not to help see creatures' stats before taming them, like the awesome Spyglass, most creatures, you'll see little numbers, and that indicates how many points they've put into their stats that have contributed to the level. It is all random, with the exception of movement speed, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all creatures have no points put into movement speed until they tame up. At least I think so. No, I'm sorry. That's just flyers. Flyers do not have any points put into movement speed. And that was with the whole, like, flyer nerf thing that they did years ago. So forget everything before the flyer nerf thing. Basically, yeah, they can get put into any of the stats that they come with, and which, in my opinion, is kind of stupid. But whatever. They're all random, and they will gain a level boost, as well as an overall stat boost upon taming up. Which you can adjust that in your settings if you feel like doing so. I will say this right now. Most creatures, as a general rule, for better or worse in this game, have only 3 stats worth mentioning for taming purposes. Health, melee, and stamina. Sometimes with weight being a 4th, especially if it's more of a utility creature. Now, I'm not as picky as some people are, and I'll happily take things with wild stats in these areas that are in the range of, like, 30s or more. But I mean, it's like, because I just don't have the time in my day to go, like, grinding, killing, letting respawn all these things over and over again. But I've seen people go for things like they won't go for it if it's below a 40 or something like that. And it's, remember, if you plan to breed them, though, is alright if the first one you get doesn't have high numbers in every desirable category. It should have them in at least one, because you're planning on combining those stats. Again, for more information, see the mutations video, where I cover combining stats. Alrighty, and now we come to Taming Effectiveness. Taming Effectiveness. Ah yes, that ubiquitous percentage that constantly drops on your creature no matter what you give it, to the point of causing salt in a game or enough to fill the ocean. Taming Effectiveness is going to determine how much of a boost in levels and therefore stats your creature gets when it fully tames up. This applies to every creature that can be tamed, and as an adult, every single one. You can ignore it for wyverns, rock drakes, reapers, and that aforementioned bug with a name harder pronounced than a Starbucks order. Yeah, that one. Anyway, the way it works is quite simple. Give the creature what it wants, and it stops the percentage from dropping too much. It's worth noting that you will never have a creature with full 100% taming effectiveness, except in rare circumstances. It will always lose at least one level, but that's okay. This is why having the creature's favorite food, if it uses food in its taming method, is so important. Sure, you can settle for prime meat, but if you want the most out of the max level Rex or Giga, you're going to want the extraordinary kibble that they want. Also worth noting that if you have their actual preferred food, it's going to make the taming go by a lot faster. That is very, very important. Because nobody wants to be sit there, like, especially in something like official servers where things can take hours to tame. Man, you better have all that kibble. Like, you better have it, or it's the difference between something taking like 2 hours and 10. Now, I have my taming settings such that it's going to take, maybe a few minutes at most. I think the longest tame I ever had was a Bracky, and that took the better part of an hour to do. Once it was KO'd, but it wasn't a difficult process at all. And to get back on topic here, taming effectiveness also drops if the creature it's not if it gets attacked, it's if it takes damage while taming. Do not let it take damage, or it could take a big enough drop that you're better off letting it wake up and starting all over again. And, yeah, this has happened to me. Thankfully, it's not happened on camera, but it has happened to me in my early days playing this game. And I remember it quite clearly. It happened with a Therizinosaurus, and that was just... Ooh, that was no fun for anybody. Oh, man. I've also had it happen with when I did play official, right around when Ragnarok dropped. I was taming up an Anki. I may or may not have fallen asleep, And then a Megalosaurus came and basically negated almost all my taming effectiveness. Managed to salvage the situation, but and it was an Anki unofficial. I don't. Anyway, enough of the story time. The whole point is, you want to keep that as high as possible. It's gonna drop a little bit no matter what you do. It's just a question of how much and will it affect the final thing, because you can always get 99% tame effectiveness. Some creatures you can get 100. I don't remember off the top of my head which ones those are or how to do that, but sometimes there is a way. But even at 100, weirdly, you'll still never get that last level. It doesn't make sense. At least in my experience. Maybe somebody's found a way to do it, but, for these purposes, just, it's okay. It's going to drop a little bit. The idea is you want to keep it as high as possible. It also drops, the longer the tame goes on. Every time the creature eats, it will drop. Okay, I think I got that out of the way. Every time the creature eats something or is doing something, an example of doing something, you're riding around on the Equus or the Antrusarchus for its taming method. One of those. Something like that. Or I don't think it happens as easily with Desmodus. I don't remember what drops their taming effectiveness. And then again, the bug is a whole different can of worms that I'll get into when we actually cover that video. Yeah, I think that basically covers taming effectiveness as a whole. Yeah, that'll about do it. Moving on. Alrighty, and now we come to the inevitable conclusion. All in all, taming is a pretty simple but also complicated process here in ARK Survival Evolved. There's a lot of facets that one can cover and talk about, and I feel like, again, a lot of people have done that, and I just wanted to add my 2 cents in because, you can never have too many taming guides, and it's always good to be able to go back and take a refresher course. Sometimes you just need to, brush up on knowledge. Maybe there was something, how do I do that? I'll go take a look. All that good stuff. At any rate, I hope this video helps you understand the process just a little better, and maybe from a different point of view, so that your next tames go as smoothly as possible. And I say as possible because this is ARK. Anyone who's played this game for more than 3 hours understands exactly what this is ARK means, whether there's context or not. The context is implied. If there's one more piece of advice I have, it's be patient. Just be patient. You see videos of people taming creatures and they make it look so easy sometimes, and then when you go to try to do it, you're just having a rough day. You can't get it to work. But that's fine. Yes, when that happens, don't worry about it. It's probably not entirely your fault. It's okay. The game wants you to struggle, and chances are it also just doesn't like you at that moment, but you will get your tame if you keep at it. You may have to change a couple things, and that's really what this guide is about. It's those little things that, maybe I could get it better if I did this, or something like that, That's what this is for. At any rate, I hope it helped. I hope it helped you if you're somehow new to this game. Maybe it'll also be helpful with ARK Survival Ascended, whenever that is a thing. But yeah, whether it was a nice refresher or it helped you, if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Idiots Guides, because there's gonna be more coming. I'm not really sure when. I'll really make an effort to try to put them out more often than I do, because I think they're a lot of fun. People seem to like them, so it behooves me to keep doing them. But yeah. At any rate, this is TBT signing out, and I will catch you lovely people next time. Peace!